It's time for Let's Get Real with your host from Bob Richards and Associates, Bob Richards.
Well, hello, Mr. Bob Richards.
Good afternoon, Michael Mollenauer.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Nice to be with you today.
It's great to see you, too. You know what? I was watching Family Feud.
Uh-huh.
And I love the part where the guy goes, and the survey says, and I ding the little bell, and the survey flips over. So Bob, speaking of the survey says, do I need a survey before I buy a house?
Okay, all right. I can see where you segued into that from Richard Dawson to Michael Mollenauer. That's very good.
But I'm not going to kiss you like Richard Dawson.
He did that, that's for sure. You know, people have asked me and about a survey, and I'm like, so are you looking for like a Google survey? You want me to kind of give you some feedback? Or No. I mean, a survey on my property. I said, oh, okay. And knowing exactly what they were saying, I was just kind of being facetious. Yeah. And I say, you know what? Tell me more. What's got you bugged? And oftentimes they're like, well, we're not sure if we should because of this, or we've heard that there's a problem with the boundary lines. There's a potential dispute. There's a potential lawsuit where my property is encroaching on the neighbor or the neighbor encroaching on me. Maybe there's a fence. Maybe there's a storage shed. Maybe it's a pool that is encroaching on the neighbor's property. We'll kind of get to all of those today in our visit.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So do I need a survey for my home? What is it?
Okay.
What do I do with this thing?
Yeah. No, survey is just where we get, where a surveyor comes in to the property and not inside, but on the lot, and determines what the exact measurements are and if they are in compliance with the plat that's been recorded that shows where the lots are and width and depth, etc. There's little jogs here and there, or if it's just a normal rectangular or square type of lot, if there's any sort of easements. So if there's an easement going down the middle of the property, then your home is going to be built underneath an easement, or on an easement. And that allows really anybody that needs to have access to that area to access it, which means bad things for the house because they can just simply go right through that easement.
Would something like that show up in a title insurance policy or a title survey where they would look to see if there's ingress and egress, which would be associated with that? Because I remember there was an instance where this guy, well, two instances. One, the guy was going to buy this house, but he didn't know that there was an easement from his driveway. He had a back fence, and behind his fence was the other guy's behind him house driveway. The other guy had an easement where he could drive from his driveway through the other guy's fence.
No way.
That didn't turn out well.
No, not at all.
No, and then I saw another one where there was they did the survey and looked in the plat map, and this guy bought this lot and realized there was no way to get in or out of the lot.
Oh,
he had no, there wasn't an easement that gave him the right. There was even a road. He didn't have the right to be on that road to get to his own property.
Landlocked.
I'm guessing that would show up in a survey.
It would. Absolutely would.
So it's kind of important to have one then.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about older times, a lot older than you and I, the property owners would typically shake hands after saying, okay, I think my corner's going to be here, yours is there, mine's here, yours is here. Shake, 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 we're good to go, and that was the end of it. There was no official anything. May have something on a napkin or a piece of paper, but nothing that was really anything recorded anywhere. It was just basically a handshake. So you go from there, and now you got measurement tape. You've got those rollers that you take down the property line and have that calculate the distance. And then you've got, Michael, where do we go from there? Then you have those measuring, you'll see where people are kind of holding on to a stick someplace. Yeah. So those survey stakes are satellite created. And so that makes it so much easier for somebody doing a survey rather than physically having to always walk the lot or the property. That satellite image is ginormous in help, and so many leaps and bounds in how the survey is created and the accuracy of it too. That's the word I'm looking for.
So we no longer have to do it George Washington style with a big stick.
Yeah, right. You're
It's got
absolutely right.
GPS on there.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It is. It's really quite a feat, and engineers that are involved in doing surveys doesn't mean that was their line of work. If they were a different type of engineer, nuclear energy engineer, some other whatever. But surveys kind of got its own little gig, and so many people that are doing developments, infrastructure, water lines, sewer lines, power lines, etc. They'll be involved in the survey aspect of things. So there's no problems down the road after that plat is recorded. Because, like you say, once it's recorded, unless everybody agrees, you're stuck.
So I have a hypothetical question.
Okay.
Because I know nothing like this in the entire history of real estate has ever happened, ever even once.
Uh-huh.
So let's say I've been living in my beautiful home for the past 10 years. Raised my kids, my family there. Things are great and wonderful. Some guy buys the house next door to me. Seems like a nice guy. Got a nice wife, got a couple kids, got a cool car. And all of a sudden, about a month after he moves into the house next door, there's a knock on my door. Oh my God, that could be him now. And he goes, "Hi, I'm your neighbor. I just discovered that the edge of your house is 8 inches over the property line and on my lot. So you're going to need to move your house 8 inches to the south."
Yeah.
Has that ever happened? And what do you do in a situation like that?
Michael, it does. It absolutely does. And folks, if you believe otherwise, I'm sorry to tell you, I have seen where homes have had to be moved, or a portion of the home has to be removed and remodeled and redone so that there is no longer that easement, or no longer the encroachment on somebody's property. And depending upon the one that is encroaching onto the other, if that's the case, and let's say back to your 8 inches, you can either make a proposal to buy that from him so you don't have to do anything remodeling of the house. You may come to terms and just say, hey, can we just do a redo of the map, engineer's plat, and modify it slightly to include or exclude certain part here where the house is having an issue, and then use that in a deed and record that. And sometimes the sellers or that owner that has you encroaching on them, they're just ruthless and just say, no, I want you to move it. Now, does it happen super often? No. Most of the time, there's some sort of a settlement between price and property. But again, boy, not everybody does that. And when they don't, you'll have hell to pay. I mean, that just really is not a fun event.
I could see that would disrupt your entire life. I would guess the first option would be like what you suggested. Okay, Mr. Neighbor, I'm really sorry. I'm 8 inches over the line. How about if I pay you X amount of dollars for that 8 inches? That'd probably be the best way to do it.
It would. For all involved that's part of this, yes, it would.
But you know what? He's kind of a real jerk. And he says, no, I need that 8 inches to get my super giant RV in here. And your home is blocking my way to get my RV in here. So you're just going to have to chop off 8 inches of your house. So the guy's not going to take my offer. I don't want to chop off 8 inches of my house. Do lawyers get involved? I mean, and let's say that I'm defending the fact that I don't want to tear down my house. Do I have really any chance at all of winning?
Yeah. And
that was
no.
scary.
It is kind of a crapshoot because it'll be the judge's call saying, were the parties acting in good faith to resolve this? How long have they been trying to resolve it? What have been some resolutions that were proposed but were not accepted by the other party? Why is this still happening? And is it somebody that's just a stubborn person, or is it somebody that just is ruthless and just goes that way? And guess what's happened to that relationship, Michael, is that Okay, he's living next to you. They just moved in, and now you're having this going on. That doesn't make for great friendships and great relationships at all, which is too bad.
So, okay, here's another scenario, which I'm sure has never happened in the history of the world of real estate. Okay, so I'm in my house. I've been there for 10 years. The guy wants me to chop off 8 inches of my house. And I don't want to do it. He's not going to take the offer. The court was like, no help at all. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell my house. And I'm just not going to tell the new buyer that the house is 8 inches over the line, because on the plat map, it doesn't even show it. So I think I can get away with this. We're going to sell the house. We'll discount it. We won't sell it in July. We'll sell it in a good month. I'm going to sell the house. So the guy sells the house, and he moves away, and the other guy moves in. And 3 weeks later, the new guy gets a knock on his door. And he goes, hi, your neighbor. I don't know if the other neighbor told me, but your house is 8 inches on my property line. Okay, who's going to get sued now?
Yeah.
I mean, has that ever happened?
Oh. Yes. And that's one of the big things that happen. People just hide it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, we'll just kind of sweep it under the rug and not say anything to anybody of our new buyer or what we're telling the seller or the homeowner of the one next door that has the encroachment that is encroaching on my property.
Yeah.
And so, it's something that, again, through courts, but especially the seller of that house that knew about the encroachment, oh boy, that's
He's in trouble.
Not a good day for him.
And I'm presuming that you, as the real estate agent, if you were asked to list that house, you'd probably be aware of that encroachment, and you'd say, I can't list this house because the various reasons. Did you know you're 8 inches over on Bob's lot over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be ungood.
Oh, it would be ungood. And when these plats are recorded, Michael, these days, and this is the one that kind of went after the tape measurement approach, there's oftentimes there's pins, steel pins that are in the curb or the gutter or the sidewalk of the property that's being sold or being owned. Now, if those pins are in place at the front, then you have to look for the pins in the back or the side or however it jogs from the left to the right or the right to the left, etc., and then come up to find out where the exact property line is. If you don't do that, then you run the risk. But thankfully, the cities have put in the pins, so you know at least from the front standpoint where they are, and that helps to lead in where the back property lines would be. And again, let's talk a little bit about what an easement is. You brought that up a couple of times. An easement is very different from an encroachment, and I'd like to share a little bit more with you about that. But mind if we go look at a home?
You know what?
Not physically, but
I think we should do that. I have a feeling that Josh is in the production room.
yeah.
He is so excited about this home. Oh, look, he's wanted to show it already. So tell us about it. Isn't that in Washington City somewhere?
It is. Yeah, so it's just above Telegraph on the east end of Washington City. There's a couple things that are pretty darn awesome about this house. Yes, it's a manufactured home. Yes, it has extra insulation. Yes, the utility bills are less as a result of that. Here's a big winner. It's on 0.64 acres of a lot, so almost 3/4. But it's point. Yeah, it's just about a third acre less than being a full acre, which isn't darn too bad at all, because you don't find these places except for maybe Leeds or the BFE area or the Virgin, Vail, Pine Valley, Dameron. Anyway, so this is a very unique setup, because you're just 5-7 minutes to I-15, Costco, Home Depot, Walmart, etc. The owner has redone the interior prior to it being put on the market. So
it's beautiful.
In the middle of this photo, you see the front door, and then as many people don't know, I do stage homes. So this is all my furniture that comes in and stage it, gives it some pop and sizzle, gives people a chance to sit down, talk with each other. What do you think, honey? What do you think, honey? And so we've got new flooring all the way throughout. We've got new paint all the way throughout. course, this being the living room, you can see the dining room in the distance. And if we go on to the next photo, a little bit of a different angle, same living area, but you can kind of see the kitchen over there in the corner. And so let's go to that one and see a little bit more. So again, cabinets are all white, white on white appliances, newer appliances at that, very well maintained, taken care of. You don't have scratches from dogs, you don't have scratches from kids or dents or Mars or any otherwise. Really, really good size kitchen, lots of storage as well.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. I like that.
Another one that we find with this picture here, Michael, is that you kind of see this a little bit on the left-hand side, and that's where the garages are. You can literally get 6 cars into these 2 stalls. The one on the right is almost a tandem type size. You have to kind of pull in one car and then pull in the next car because the width of the garage door is not quite as wide enough for 2 cars. But once you get into that area, you can go side by side with 2 cars, another 2 cars, and on the left-hand side, you could go with another 2 cars, garages. Or you can have an RV parking area there that's not quite an RV garage, but for a boat, a smaller ATV trailer or UTV trailer and hauler, there's enough height there on that left-hand side garage that you can back right in, still stays flat, and then you have access easily, and certainly for storage purposes, with the weather sometimes that it is here, it's nice to have those out of the elements.
It's nice.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that since this home is for sale, it probably has a price.
It does. It does.
Oh, wow.
And an awfully good one. Until people walk through this, they're just like, oh, I've seen all of those. And you're like, okay, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. And once they walk in, they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is wonderful. Yeah. And so we're priced at $429 right now.
Okay.
And so we got some wiggle room. We're wanting to get some things, just a few little fine-tuned items outside, but nothing structurally that needs to be addressed or taken care of or figured out. Folks, this is a really good value. It's on Wagon Wheel, just off of Telegraph. There's a new car dealership that's there, Family Dollar, and let's see here, what else is there? Car wash, etc. So it's really very, very convenient to where you need to get to there in Washington. So keep that one in mind.
So I'm going to backtrack just for a second, if that's okay. We were talking about easements and encroachments.
Yeah.
So can you pick up a little bit where we left off about the encroachment stuff?
Sure, absolutely. So the encroachment is what you talked about with the 8-inch example, okay? Where you're encroaching on somebody else's property. You have different easements that can come into play depending on different situations and how long, let's say in this instance, your home has been there and the guy to the left has been there. Is there any sort of hey, I've been encroaching on your property for X amount of time, so it actually is part of my property and you can't sue me for that 8 inches? That's one. There's a prescriptive easement that says over a period of time, this has been traveled and gone back and forth and never addressed for 5, 10, 20 years. So I automatically have a prescriptive easement that says I can go right through there and I don't have to tear my corner out of my house.
Okay.
So there's a few different options besides court hearings and lawyers and judge and between the two parties, which is good with the use of some easements. There's a couple of others, but just kind of get wet the whistle of our audience. And then the encroachment, like I said, we've been talking about that and how much is that. I always like to find out, what were they thinking? Now, here's some what were they thinkings. Leeds, I love Leeds. I think is one of the most prettiest areas here in southern Utah. Leeds were these handshake situations. And so where they thought, okay, well, I'll just put my fence there. We agreed to that fence being there, and that's going to where that fence is going to be. Handshake, and we're done. And now that these things have become more legal and recorded and official and meets and bounds, legal descriptions, well, that's changed the environment. And so you now have surveyors go up to Leeds and many other areas, Virgin and Vail and so forth, and they're like, nope, this isn't where your property lines are. And now you get to the renegotiation of things that was maybe done 100 years ago, and now you're having to to deal with it getting right.
I could see that. So the guy goes, "No, George told me it's over there by the big rock.
Yeah.
Nobody's moved the big rock."
Right.
Yeah, George is wrong. Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you can't find George because he's at the Lead Cemetery.
I could see that. Yeah, it was 100 years ago. There's
right.
George. So, Bob, a couple of things. Let's say that I have more questions about encroachments and easements, and I'm really interested in that cool house. How can I get a hold of you?
Thanks, Michael. I'd be glad to help with people and answering their questions. I've got some more things that we've not shared today. And so let's talk on the phone, meet together. I'll be happy to walk you through the different details and look for areas that may be a problem or certainly are not a problem. 435-703-8824 is my cell phone number. That's 435-703-UTAH. My email address, bob@buyutah.com. That's BUYUTAH.com. Website, well, you can probably guess it, buyutah.com. I'm at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, just in the Ancestor Square, downtown St. George on the Boulevard and Main Street.
Sounds good. We want to remind everybody that Bob has his podcast called Let's Get Real. It's primarily on YouTube. You can watch it all the time on YouTube. And it's also on all the other major podcast channels such as Spotify. There's a lot of people, Bob, that like to listen to podcasts when they're driving. So listen to it on Spotify and all the other channels and watch it on YouTube. And if you guys have any suggestions on something that you'd like to learn about, any real estate questions, please be sure and email Bob at bob@buyutah.com, and we'll see if we can get that on the air for you and take good care of it.
Awesome.
Bob, thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.
See you again next time.
You got it.
Bye.
This has been Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards and Associates. For more information, buyutah.com. We invite you to return again for another edition of Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards and Associates.